Let's jump back in a time machine and go back over a quarter of a century ago and look at all the new comic book releases for DC Comics with a cover date of September 1990. This was an innocent time. There were no variant covers. DC and Marvel had very little competition, and the 90s were just beginning. And DC had 48 new titles, I believe, out that month, including the latest big issue of Action Comics. Superman was big at that time. All his main 4 series were being published one week after another. Also coming out at that time, Vertigo was growing bigger and bigger for DC. Batman was not at his peak, but he had just had his big movies, so sales were now up after a slump throughout the 80s. Breathtaker #1 debuted. DC had a new Bugs Bunny series. Butcher was recent. Demon also was recent, up to issue 3 at that time. Some very popular, well-written stories like Doom Patrol wrote at that time. The classic war character Enemy Ace was given his own special. Green Arrow had a couple issues out at that time. Hawkworld was a newly launched series, as well as Green Lantern that year. Hellblazer was still very popular, featuring John Constantine. Justice League had a couple of different series. Nation of Snitches was a special high-price #1 from Piranha Press, which was a offshoot label that DC was putting out a number of books at that time. Sandman was very popular. #19 was out, classic issue. And The Doll's House trade paperback reprinted some of the past issues. Sergeant Rock was also given his war special #9. Spelljammer debuted with a new series #1. DC at the time had the Star Trek license, and were publishing 2 different monthly series. Legion of Superheroes had their annual. And Superboy had his own comic book series at the time. He would be relaunched shortly after the death of Superman. Swamp Thing was approaching 100th issue. TSR Worlds debuted that month with a brand new series. The Who's Who in the DC Universe was a popular line that was out at that time for DC and Marvel. And a high-priced, high-quality graphic novel, World's Finest #2 was out, featuring the Joker and Lex Luthor. So a great variety of books out that month, September 1990. DC Comics.